Hello there folks, and thanks for joining me once again. And today's fly, I'm going to tell you up an old classic pattern. It's a stonefly imitation, a very old pattern. It's been around for many years. And it's a simple tie. It's quite a big fly. You tie it on a size 4 down to an 8. And it's usually on like a 3x, even up to a 5x long streamer hook. And I'm going to tie this on a size 6 streamer hook for you this time, a mustad 9672. And so we'll get going here. I'll get this guy the vise, fresh hook in, and we'll get started. And it's the sofa pillow. If I'm not sure if I mentioned the name, I guess I didn't have enough coffee this morning, but that's the name, the sofa pillow. So we'll get a new hook in and get started. Okay, so we'll put our size 6 streamer in here and lock it down. 9672 mustad, and for thread, calls for brown, so I'm going to use some brown UTC 70 denier this time. And we're going to start our thread about back where we want the body to end, so that's about 3 eye lengths or so, 3.5. And we're going to get a thread base going back to just about above the barb here. Okay, just about there, and we'll snip off that tag end of thread. Alrighty, now the tail on this guy calls for 2 slips of goose quill, red slips, or you can use turkey or duck quill work as well. I just happen to have red turkey, so I chose that. And you don't want the slips. I usually like them quite thin. You can put them in at least half the width of the hook gap, but I usually keep them thinner than that. But it's your choice how you want to put the tail in. So we're going to put those in about a little longer than the hook gap. And I'm going to use a pinch wrap here. I'm just going to let the bobbin hang first to bring it down where I want it. Then pinch it tight, pull down, excuse me, and then come up. Back around again with another pinch wrap. A couple wraps forward. There's our tail right on top there. And I'm going to clip those tail fibers where I want the body to end, so right about there. And I'm going to spin my thread counterclockwise as I wrap forward just to try to keep it flat. We're going to have a floss body on this guy, so and just take your time and wrap forward. Spin it counterclockwise every once in a while here. Okay, a couple more times should do it. Okay, one more time around there. And we'll wrap that forward. Okay. Alright, next is a red floss, and I have, I usually use 4-strand, but I only have single-strand red, so. Now I should mention, if you don't want to use red floss, you can use a red yarn, wool, and you can also use a red dubbing if you wish, but I'm going to just stick to the original pattern here and show you this time. Now the way I'm going to work this is I'm going to take the floss and I'm going to wrap it so that I got an end piece at the end here. I'll show you. If you remember the pattern I've done recently, the Tup's Indispensable, I'm going to use the same method for the floss or top to back, and there's a reason for that. I'll explain it again if you've never seen that video. I'm just going to wrap this single strand back to in front of the tail and keep it right on top, just like so. There we go. I'll place that in the material clip. Now, just got to wrap your thread forward once again. It's a little tricky doing it this way, but there's a good reason for it here. Alright, now what I'm going to do is flatten that floss out. And I'm going to wrap back and then forward once again with the floss. So we'll get that down here. Just try to keep it flat as you go. Flat as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be a fishing fly. And we'll wrap forward once again. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Just like so. Keep it as flat as possible here until we get to our tie off point. A couple more wraps. Alright. Tie that floss off, come up around, keep your thread tension as you come around. And make 4 or 5 good snug wraps there before we snip off that tag end of floss. Alrighty, so there's our body now. Again, the top's indispensable. The reason I kept that single strand on the top is if you fold that over, excuse me, and then tie it down right on the top like so. Keep it nice and tight as you tie around. And we'll tie that off. 4 or 5 good thread turns there, nice tension on the thread. And what that does, it keeps that floss from coming down around your shank of your hook here after you catch a few fish. It doesn't creep down around, and the fly will stay together much longer for you that way. It's just a simple little trick that you can use in a lot of floss body situations. Alrighty, now is our wing. I'm going to just form a little smooth thread base here before I tie that wing in. Okay. And our wing is red fox squirrel tail, and I already have some in the stacker here, so I'll even that up. Just like so, a few taps there. And I don't like the wing too thick on them. Usually I'll measure it up so that it's about almost the width of the hook gap there. And I'll show you another little trick of tying these squirrel tail in where it's quite a slippery material. Okay, pick out the long one. What I'm going to do here, I want that to come back pretty much even with the end of the tail. I'm going to measure it first where I want it to go, and then I'm going to snip the ends there. Clip them off even now. What I like to do, instead of tying that all down around in one turn like that and coming down, what I'll do is take my thread, come in and go about, usually it's about halfway through that section. Then I'm going to come down, wrap the first section down, then I'm going to come back over top, pinch wrap the second half of the bunch down on top of the first. Then hold up on my wing, and I'm going to come back with some medium pressure wraps. That's where I want that wing to be. As you can see, that keeps it nice and flat and on top of the hook for you, and also really nice and secure that way. Now I'm going to really pressure down on the thread, nice tension, wrapping forward, wrapping that down to where we want it to be, like so. Okay, and there's our wing. Now that method puts that in there nice and tight for you. I'm just going to show you here. I'm going to really crank on that, pull on it hard. As you can see, that wing's not going anywhere. It's just a good way to tie that in, is tie it in the first half of the bunch down first with a pinch wrap, and then the second on top, and then put lots of thread pressure wrapping forward. It seems to lock that wing in really well. And it can be used in a lot of other streamer flies that call for that type of slippery material like squirrel tail. Alright, now I'll stop ranting on here. We'll carry on with the fly. Now next is our hackle, and I have a brown saddle hackle here sized up for size 12 hook. And I'm going to tie this in here. Right on top in front of our wing. We want that to come down around. Just like so. Snug it down, and we'll carry that on top. And wrap that quill forward. Just like so. Snip off the excess hackle quill. Alright, now we're going to stop our thread right behind the eye, like so. Okay, next is wrapping our hackle, folks. Now you'll see when I wrap this brown hackle that I'm using here, it has quite a dark center down the middle, this brown saddle hackle, but it's almost a dark furnace color, but it calls for brown saddle, so any brown saddle hackle you have will do the trick for sure. Okay, and as we wrap, you'll see that black center will stand out quite a bit here. Okay, going to wrap those wraps forward, and we'll keep wrapping towards our eye here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to grab my hackle pliers before it gets too short on me, folks. Okay, we'll proceed to wrap here. One wrap right in front of the neck, like so. Okay, it looks good. Probably going to get just a couple more wraps on this guy. I'll come up around one more time. And I want to tie him off. And as you can see, it's a nice thick hackle on this fly. It's supposed to imitate a big stone fly. Okay, snug that down nice and tight. Tension on the thread. Couple wraps forward. Then I'm going to pull that hackle tip back and wrap back on it. Lock it in place. Now, if I can get a hold of it there, I'm going to come in and grab that. I'll pull it back a little way so I can get at it to snip it off. Then I'll come in and steady my scissors with my thumb here. Snip it off. It'll agree with me here. There we go. Alrighty, so there's the fly. It's essentially done, folks. Just got a couple stray fibers here I want to clip out there. There we go. Just didn't like the way they were sitting there. Alrighty, now all that's left to do is I'm going to put a couple whip finishes on this fly here. I'll hold those hackle fibers back, and if I trap one down, I'll clip it out, just building a little head here on them. Got one there that I trapped. I'll snip that out, just like so. Alright, grab my whip finisher next, and we'll do a couple whip finishes on this guy. Okay. Alrighty, there's one. Okay, seat that down nice and tight. And I'll come in and do one more here. Okay. Okay. Nice and tight. And we'll snip off our thread there. Come in and snip that off nice and close here. There we go. Alrighty, it's pretty much a done deal, folks. Just gotta put our UV resin on the head of the fly. It's another size 6 sofa pillow. An old classic stonefly imitation. And easy to tie. It never hurts to have some of these older patterns in your box, because they still do work today. A lot of these old patterns get neglected, but I still use a lot of them myself and have different ones in my box for sure. So next, some solar res bone dry here that I use. We're going to get a little bit on the thread wraps here and try to keep it away from the hackle fibers, and just use your regular head cement or lacquer if you don't have bone dry, of course. Alright, bring in my UV light here and we'll cure this guy up. It takes a few seconds for this bone dry here to cure, so okay. And there she be, folks. Size 6 sofa pillow. This fly has been around many years. I'm not sure how long it's been around, but I've read some history on it, and it was developed a long time ago. But like I say, it's still an effective fly today. So I would definitely recommend that you tie a few of these guys up and put them in your fly box for sure. And you can tie them in a little bit larger than this, or smaller as well, down to an 8. So anyway, if this is your first time viewing my channel here and you'd like to see more flies that I tie, don't hit that good old subscribe button there, and throw in a like too if you wish. And any comments you have, put them down below, because I always read the comments every time. I like hearing from you guys. And until next time, folks, I'm going to wish you all happy tying out there. And I'll see you all again soon, and so long for now, folks.